Hi. My name's Alina, I'm 27, and I don't know if I'm a monster or just a woman who made a really, really selfish decision. I didn't plan to ruin my relationship. God, no. I loved Ryan. I still do, maybe not in the way I used to, but that's kind of the problem. We were together for almost 4 years, and in the beginning, everything felt so intoxicating. I mean, you know that feeling, right? Like you've finally found someone who gets you. He used to kiss the back of my hand for no reason, hold my waist while I was brushing my teeth, pull me in close just to smell my hair and whisper mine. It wasn't just romantic, it was raw. We had that kind of connection where we couldn't keep our hands off each other in grocery store aisles, where we'd whisper stupid little secrets under the covers, where even our silences felt synced. But people don't tell you how slowly that intimacy slips. They don't warn you about how routine becomes a quiet thief. The first time I noticed something was wrong, we were lying in bed. I'd just come out of the shower, slipped in next to him, and rested my hand on his chest like I always did. And instead of pulling me close, he flinched. Just a little. Like I'd disrupted his space. When I looked at him, he smiled, but his eyes didn't. I told myself he was tired. Weeks later, I kissed him while we were watching a movie. It was soft, nothing wild, just a hey, I still want you kind of kiss. But he didn't lean into it. He just sat there. Let it happen. Then there were the hugs. They started feeling like duties, not moments. Like he was patting a dog on the head, not embracing his partner. And when we made love, it was quiet. Careful. Predictable. I missed the way he used to grab my hips with purpose, the way our bodies used to fight and find rhythm like music. Now it was like we were both afraid of breaking something. I don't want to make him the villain. He never yelled. Never cheated. He made my coffee every morning, kissed my forehead before work, remembered to buy oat milk even though he hates the taste. But somewhere along the way, I felt myself disappear. Like I had become this echo of who I was when we met. And when I ran into Eli, my ex, at a gallery opening, something inside me cracked. Eli, who used to kiss my collarbone like it was scripture. Who once pulled me out of a party just to make out in the rain. He looked at me like I was still someone worth craving. I didn't cheat. Not physically. But in my head? My body? My hunger? I started going back in time. Replaying every moment with Eli. Wondering what it would feel like to be touched like that again, just once. Without ruining everything. That's when the idea started forming. Not as a betrayal, but as an option. A way to keep what I had with Ryan without burying what I was still aching for. I know how that sounds. Trust me. But I remember the exact moment I knew something had truly shifted. It was a Wednesday. Ryan and I were sitting on the couch eating Thai, watching a documentary. I reached for his hand. He let me take it but didn't squeeze back. I held it anyway. But in that quiet, I knew he wasn't holding me anymore. And maybe I wasn't holding him either. Ryan is a paramedic. That means he's wired to react, to fix, to move. He's good in chaos, he thrives in adrenaline. And at the beginning, I think I found that sexy. Like he could pull me out of anything, even myself. But lately? It just feels like he's always somewhere else, running towards someone else's emergency while mine quietly simmers on our living room couch. I remember this one night, he came home past midnight, still wearing his navy blue uniform shirt, smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion. I had left a plate for him on the counter. I was curled up on the couch, pretending to scroll, but really just waiting to feel seen. He walked in, set down his keys with a loud clink, and kissed the top of my head. "You're still up," he said, trying to smile. "Couldn't sleep," I replied. Without another word, he sat down behind me, pulled me close, and wrapped his arms around my waist like a seatbelt. His touch was warm, but it felt more like containment than comfort. "Long day?" I asked. He groaned in response, then buried his face into the crook of my neck, letting his weight press against me. That used to make me feel safe. Now it just felt like he was collapsing into me without ever asking if I could hold him. "I missed you today," I whispered. He kissed my shoulder and mumbled, "I'm here now." But that's not what I meant. I wanted him to look me in the eyes, ask me how I was. Ask if I was okay. Ask what I'd been thinking about all evening, or why I'd reheated my tea 3 times just to have something warm to hold. But instead, his hands slid under my shirt, fingers trailing my stomach, tugging me closer. He was trying. I know that. That was Ryan's language, touch. When things felt off, he tried to repair them with his body. He thought sex was connection. But I needed something softer. Slower. I needed him to reach in, not just out. When I gently pulled his hands away and said, "Can we just talk for a second?" His whole body stiffened. "Talk about what?" he asked, annoyed but trying to sound casual. "I don't know," I said. "Just us." He got up, rubbed the back of his neck like I'd just accused him of something. "Alina, you always want to talk when I've had a long shift. Can't we just be close without it being a whole thing?" That was the moment. That was when I realized we were speaking 2 entirely different languages. He thought proximity was intimacy. That curling around me at 1 a.m. after back-to-back trauma calls meant we were fine. But I was starving for presence. For context, I'm an illustrator. I work from home. I spend long hours alone, drawing strangers' faces into children's books and sipping lukewarm coffee. I crave depth. Words. Emotional color. Ryan lives in a world of emergencies. Split-second decisions. Lives on the line. There's no time to ask "How are you really?" when someone's bleeding out. But I wasn't bleeding, I was disappearing. Quietly, daily. Like fog in sunlight. The worst part was, he thought we were okay. He'd bring me my favorite pastries, run his hand down my back in the mornings, make plans for summer road trips. But none of that reached me anymore. Because it didn't feel like he knew who he was loving. Just that he was supposed to. And I didn't know how to say, "I think I need more." Not without breaking everything. It was a Sunday afternoon, late spring. The kind where sunlight filters through the blinds just right, warm and slow. I was folding laundry on the couch, watching dust dance in the light, when Ryan walked in from the kitchen. "Hey," he said, voice low and soft, the way it used to make my stomach flutter. He walked behind me and smacked my butt playfully. "That's my girl," he grinned, like we were still in that playful honeymoon phase. I smiled, but it was tight. Too practiced. My body didn't like the touch, I didn't like that I didn't like it. He slid his arms around my waist and pressed himself against my back, swaying us slightly. "You smell good," he whispered into my ear. "Like oranges." "I had a tangerine," I said, deadpan. My hands kept folding the laundry like I couldn't afford to lose rhythm. He laughed. "Still counts." I wanted to laugh back. I really did. But instead, my shoulders tensed. I tried to push it down, to let him pull me closer, to lean into his warmth. But something in me just locked up. He kissed my neck gently, then again, and his hands moved under my shirt, grazing my ribs. My skin didn't rise to meet him, it braced. I was frozen, standing in a room with a man I loved who no longer made me feel. "Ryan," I said quietly, pulling his hands away. "Not now." He stepped back, confused. "What's going on with you lately?" I turned to face him, laundry in hand like a shield. "What do you mean? You're always pulling away. I can't even kiss you without it feeling like I'm asking permission." "Maybe because it does feel like that," I snapped, immediately regretting how harsh it sounded. He blinked, hurt flashing across his face before he covered it with a tight jaw. I'm just trying to be close to you, Alina. I don't know how else to reach you. You think touching me is the same as being close to me? I think it used to be. That hit hard. And he wasn't wrong. There was a time I would have melted in his arms. A time when him pulling me onto his lap in the kitchen would have ended in laughter, not an awkward shuffle back to my own chair. He looked at me for a long moment. Do you even want to be with me anymore? The question hung in the air like smoke. I don't know what I want, I whispered. He stepped closer, more cautious this time. Then let's talk. Let's go away for a weekend, just us. Let's figure it out. I nodded slowly, the guilt already creeping up. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to reach for him like I used to. But when he kissed me, just a soft press to my lips, I felt nothing. No electricity. No pull. Just skin. When I didn't kiss him back, he pulled away. Right, he said under his breath. I folded the last t-shirt, my throat dry. I couldn't look at him. He walked into the bedroom and shut the door gently. No anger. Just tired silence. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing, and let the question I'd been afraid to say out loud echo in my mind. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It happened at the worst possible moment, of course it did. We were at our favorite little Italian place. The one with the dim lighting and the old jazz music that always sounded a little too loud when we sat in silence. Ryan had planned it, he was trying, I knew that. He even shaved, something he usually skipped on weekends. Wore the green button-down I once told him made his eyes look like spring. I was trying too. Trying to play the part. Smile at the right times. Pretend that my whole body didn't tense every time he reached across the table to touch my hand. The waiter had just brought out our food, a seafood linguine for him, mushroom risotto for me. We clinked wine glasses. I forced a smile. To us, he said gently. I swallowed a sip. My stomach was already tight. Trying, I replied. He raised an eyebrow, half laughing. Trying? I backpedaled. I mean, to making time. For each other. He nodded slowly. That's all I've been trying to do, Alina. I looked down at my plate. I know. But something in me was shaking. He reached over, took my hand again. I still love you, you know. I don't say it enough, but I do. I want us to get through this. My eyes welled up. Because I wanted to want that. But instead, the words tumbled out of my mouth like I had no control over them. Do you think you'd still love me if I slept with someone else? The silence that followed was loud. His fork clinked against the plate as he set it down. What? I looked at him, eyes wide, heart racing. I'm just asking. Hypothetically. No, he said. You're not. His voice was quiet. Controlled. But I could feel the storm underneath. I kept going. I don't know why. I think part of me wanted to blow everything up. Or maybe I thought honesty would save us. I've been thinking about it. About, maybe an open relationship. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Are you saying you want to sleep with someone else? He asked, each word careful, like stepping around glass. I nodded. Just once. No secrets. No cheating. Just honesty. His jaw clenched. And who would this once be with? I didn't answer right away. He leaned back, scoffing. It's your ex, isn't it? Silence. He laughed, but it was sharp. Jesus, Alina. You want to screw your ex and want me to be okay with it? What part of that sounds like love to you? I don't know what love is anymore. I snapped, loud enough that the couple at the next table turned to look. I'm drowning here, Ryan. I feel invisible. I feel like a ghost in my own life. And when I saw Eli again, something woke up in me. Something I haven't felt in years. His face crumpled, not with anger, but with something worse. Hurt. You could have just left, he said quietly. But instead you want permission to betray me and stay. I stood up suddenly, chair scraping the floor. I can't do this here. He didn't follow me. I walked 3 blocks before I realized I was crying. Not the cute kind. The shaking, ugly kind. My heels clicked against the pavement like they were running from guilt. I sat down on a bench and stared at the sky. My chest was burning. And all I could think was, what the hell did I just do? I had asked for freedom. And I'd just destroyed the only person who ever made me feel safe. It's been 12 days since that dinner. 12 days since I detonated the relationship with my own hands and then stood there, blinking, stunned by the smoke. Ryan didn't yell. He didn't storm out. He paid the bill, walked home alone, and left the door unlocked for me like he always did. But something broke in him that night. And I see it every day. We still live in the same apartment. We still pass each other in the hallway, in the kitchen, on the way out the door. But we've become ghosts, 2 people occupying the same space but entirely different worlds. He doesn't touch me anymore. No arm around my waist while I'm brushing my teeth. No casual hand at the small of my back when we're standing in line at the coffee shop. No sleepy pull toward him in bed. We still sleep beside each other. But now, the space between us could hold a continent. This morning, I watched him eat cereal in silence, scrolling through his phone with that distant, vacant look. I wanted to reach out, to say something, anything, but the words caught in my throat. Like they didn't belong to me anymore. There's this invisible wall now. One I built, brick by brick, with every sentence I thought was honesty but landed like betrayal. I know he's hurting. I see it in how he avoids eye contact. In how his keys clatter louder when he comes in. In the way his laugh, once so easy, so full, now feels hollow, like an echo of who he used to be. And yet he hasn't left. He's still here. But he's not with me. Sometimes I wonder if he's staying because he's waiting for me to undo it. Or maybe he's just too tired to leave. Last night, I came home late from a walk. I couldn't stand being inside the apartment anymore, every room felt like a memory, a weight. When I opened the door, he was on the couch, half asleep, TV still on. He looked up. Our eyes met for a second. There was no anger there. Just emptiness. I wanted to crawl beside him, lay my head on his chest, say, I'm sorry I didn't know how to say I was lonely. I'm sorry I used someone else as a mirror to find myself again. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough when really, I felt like I wasn't even real. But instead, I went to bed alone. I stared at the ceiling for an hour, chewing on every word I didn't say. I thought opening the relationship would give me room to breathe. That I could chase desire without losing love. That being honest about wanting someone else would somehow preserve what Ryan and I had built. But all I did was create distance. And now, I miss him in every corner of this house. His toothbrush next to mine. His socks in the dryer. His half-drunk coffee cups left on the windowsill like tiny reminders that he's still here, but not with me. Maybe I thought love could be compartmentalized. That desire and devotion could live in separate rooms without bleeding into each other. But love doesn't work like that. You can't ask someone to stay while also asking for permission to leave them, even just for a night. So now I'm left with a decision. Do I try again, really try, without conditions, without loopholes? Or do I walk away before I hurt him any more than I already have? I don't know the answer yet. But I know this, I miss him. And I don't know if he'll ever come back to me, even if I finally find the courage to ask. He was on the couch again. It had become his unofficial bed for the past few nights. At first, I thought it was just temporary, maybe he needed space, maybe he couldn't sleep next to me. But it didn't feel temporary anymore. It felt like a quiet resignation. I stood in the doorway, watching his chest rise and fall under the thin blanket. His phone glowed dimly beside him. A half-drunk glass of water sat on the coffee table. His legs were curled, like he was bracing against something. I walked in slowly, barefoot. The floor creaked just enough to make him stir. His eyes opened, bleary but alert. "Hey," he said, voice rough with sleep. "Hey," I replied. For a moment, we just looked at each other. No hostility. Just exhaustion. "I couldn't sleep," I whispered. He nodded. "Me neither." I sat on the edge of the couch, careful not to touch him. The silence between us was heavy but not unbearable. "Not tonight." "I miss you," I said softly. He looked away. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I've been scared to say that because I know I broke something. I don't know if it can be fixed. I don't even know if I deserve to fix it. He closed his eyes, resting his head back against the couch. "You don't get to undo things just because you feel sorry." "I know. I didn't fall in love with the version of you who questions everything," he continued. "But maybe I should have expected her to show up eventually. That hurt. But it was fair. I thought being honest about my confusion would make it less ugly," I said, blinking fast. "I thought maybe we could be modern. Grown up about it. But all I did was make you feel small." He looked at me again, eyes darker now. "You didn't just make me feel small, Alina. You made me feel replaceable." My breath caught. "I was never trying to replace you," I whispered. "I know," he said. "But it doesn't change the fact that, when you looked at him, your ex, something lit up in you that hasn't lit up around me in a long time." "I want it to," I said. "Wanting isn't the same as choosing." He sat up, pulling the blanket around his shoulders. For a moment, he looked like the same man who used to kiss the back of my hand while I was brushing my teeth. The man who'd sit on the floor with me just to be at eye level when I cried. "I'm not saying I don't still love you," he said. "But I don't know if I trust you. I don't know if I can." "I understand," I said, tears running down my cheeks now, silent. I reached for him. To my surprise, he let me. I wrapped my arms around his shoulders, and he let his forehead rest against my chest. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't even warm. It was just real. We stayed like that for a while, two people clinging to something that had already started drifting out to sea. Eventually, he pulled back. Kissed my forehead. Then stood up and walked into the bedroom, leaving the door ajar behind him. I stayed on the couch, watching the soft light slip through the hallway. And for the first time, I understood, you can love someone and still not come back. You can forgive someone and still not stay. You know what's funny? I thought I was being brave. That's the part one keep coming back to, how convinced I was that honesty would save me. That saying, "I want to sleep with someone else," could somehow be framed as growth, or clarity, or truth. But the truth wasn't that I wanted my ex. The truth was, I didn't know who I was anymore. I'm Alina. I'm 31. And I think I lost myself slowly, quietly, over the course of a relationship that was actually good. That's what makes it so hard. Ryan wasn't a bad man. He didn't lie. He didn't cheat. He kissed me every morning and remembered my coffee order. He folded my socks into neat little balls because he knew I liked that. He tried. And I drifted. You don't notice it happening at first. It starts in the small spaces, when his hand lingers too long and you don't feel anything, when you fake a laugh during a movie you used to love, when you kiss but it feels more like routine than passion. And then one day, someone else touches your arm, and your body remembers what it's like to want. Just for a second. Just enough to shake everything loose. That second, it cost me everything. What I learned is that desire, virile, electric, pulse-quickening desire, is dangerous when you haven't faced your own emptiness. It's easy to confuse it with clarity. But clarity isn't always the loudest feeling. Sometimes it's the quiet voice saying, wait. Don't ruin something just because it's not lighting fireworks every day. I thought love had to keep burning to mean something. But the truth is, love often looks like a slow burn, not a spark. And I mistook calm for absence. Safety for boredom. And in trying to protect myself from the fear of fading, I lit a match to everything. Ryan didn't leave that night. Not physically. But something in him shifted. A boundary got drawn that neither of us had the strength to erase. He still wakes up in the same bed most days. We still say good morning. But the air is different. Softer. Sadder. And I don't blame him. He deserved someone who chose him fully, not someone who treated love like a negotiation. Who didn't try to measure affection in terms of fairness. Who didn't ask, can I have you and still want more? The answer, I've learned, is no. Not like that. What I miss the most? The way he used to look at me without caution. Before I taught him to be careful with his love. I don't know what happens next. Maybe we try again. Maybe we drift apart for good. Maybe someone else walks into my life someday, and I'll get it right the second time. Or maybe I'll keep folding socks alone. But I do know this, if you find someone who makes you feel safe, seen, and still willing to grow, hold that gently. Because desire is easy. But intimacy? Intimacy is work. It's showing up when it's boring. It's choosing each other even when you're lost inside your own head. It's not asking, can I have more? It's asking, can we grow this together? I didn't ask the right questions. And he gave me all the right answers anyway. And that's the part that haunts me. Not that he left. But that I taught him how. E1